Picture the scene. The news is bright red. Every headline screams the same word: crash. The market is falling, fast. Talking heads on television look grim and use words like meltdown and collapse. You open your retirement account, and the number that took you decades to build has dropped. A lot. Your heart pounds, your stomach drops, and a single, powerful voice rises up inside you screaming, "Do something! Sell! Get out before it all disappears!" That feeling, that pure, primal panic, feels like your survival instinct trying to save you. But here is the cruelest truth in all of investing. In that exact moment, that instinct is not your friend. It is the trap. And obeying it is how ordinary people turn a temporary dip into a permanent, devastating loss. Today, I'm going to show you how the market crash trap works, why your own brain is wired to spring it, and how to protect yourself from the most expensive emotion in finance: fear. Let me be clear about what this video is and isn't, because I'm always straight with you. I am not going to tell you when to buy, when to sell, or what to put your money in. I'm not a fortune teller, and anyone who claims to know exactly what the market will do next is selling something. What I'm going to show you is something far more useful and far more permanent: how the panic itself works, who profits from it, and how not to be the person it robs. Because crashes will always happen. They're a normal, recurring part of markets, like storms are a normal part of weather. The question was never how to stop the storm. It's how not to do something foolish in the middle of one. To understand the trap, you have to understand the strange, counterintuitive nature of what actually happens during a crash. And it starts with a distinction almost nobody thinks about in the moment: the difference between a real loss and a paper loss. Here's what I mean. Imagine you own a small piece of many great companies, which, if you have most retirement accounts, you probably do. A crash happens. The value of your account drops by, let's say, a third. It feels like a third of your money just burned to ash. But stop and ask a simple question: what actually changed? You still own the exact same pieces of the exact same companies, the same number of shares. Those companies still have their factories, their workers, their products, their customers. Nothing was destroyed. The only thing that changed is the price tag the panicking crowd is currently willing to pay for them. That's it. Your loss at that moment exists only on paper. It is a number on a screen, not money that has left your life. And here is the pivotal insight, the one the trap depends on you forgetting. A paper loss only becomes a real, permanent loss the moment you sell. As long as you hold on, the price can, and historically again and again, does recover. But the instant you panic and sell, you lock that loss in forever. You take the temporary dip and you make it permanent with your own hand. You convert a scary number on a screen into real money, gone from your life for good. That's the setup. Now let me show you the mask, because your own mind is about to work against you. The mask over this trap isn't worn by a salesman or a bank, it's worn by your own brain. Because human beings are wired, deep in our ancient instincts, to feel the pain of a loss far more intensely than the pleasure of a gain. Losing $100 hurts roughly twice as much as finding $100 feels good. This made perfect sense when we were surviving in a dangerous world where a single mistake could be fatal. But in the world of investing, this ancient wiring becomes a devastating flaw. When you see your account plummeting, that primal loss aversion instinct floods your body with fear and screams at you to make the pain stop, to sell, to run, to reach safety. It feels like wisdom. It feels like taking control. but it is the single most destructive thing you can do. Because think about what selling in a panic actually is. Everyone is terrified and selling at the same time, which is exactly why the price is low. So when you panic sell, you are selling at the worst possible moment, for the lowest possible price, right alongside the terrified herd. You are doing the exact opposite of the age-old wisdom of buying low and selling high. You are selling low, driven by fear. And then, here comes the second half of the trap, the part that does the most damage of all. After you've sold and gotten to safety, you wait. And eventually, as it historically always has, the market begins to recover. But now you're on the sidelines, holding cash, feeling burned and scared. You tell yourself you'll get back in when it feels safe again. But it never feels safe on the way up. It feels like it's about to fall again. So you wait, and you miss the recovery. Study after study has shown that a huge portion of the market's biggest gains happen in a tiny handful of days, often clustered right after the worst crashes. Miss just a few of those best days because you panicked and sat in cash, and your long-term returns can be devastated. So the trap gets you twice. Once when you sell low in fear, and again when fear keeps you from getting back in for the recovery. You lock in the loss, and then you miss the rebound. And it gets worse because the mask has more layers. Because in every crash, an entire industry mobilizes to feed your fear, because your fear is profitable. There are people who make money when you trade in a panic, since every frantic buy and sell can generate fees and commissions for someone. There are television channels that know fear keeps you glued to the screen, so the scarier the headline, the better for their ratings, whether or not it's helpful to you. And, most dangerous of all, there are the salespeople who wait for exactly these moments, when you're terrified and vulnerable, to sell you the safe product that will supposedly protect you. The expensive annuity, the complicated hedge, the newsletter that promises to time the next crash for you. They use your panic as the lever, because a frightened person makes emotional decisions, and emotional decisions are where they make their money. Your fear isn't just your enemy, it's their product. This is the collapse. And notice how it's different from every other trap I've shown you. This one has no single villain in a suit. The trap is inside you. It's your own ancient, well-meaning survival instinct, hijacked at the worst possible moment, and then amplified by an industry that profits from your panic. The market crash didn't make most people poor. Their reaction to it did. So who pays the price? The panicked seller does. The person who watched the number drop, felt the terror, and hit sell at the bottom, turning a storm they could have simply waited out into a shipwreck. And who benefits? The calm, patient people on the other side of that trade, quietly buying what the panickers are desperately dumping, and the industry collecting fees from all that frightened activity. But, and here is the good news, as always, the moment you understand this trap, you gain a superpower that most investors never develop. The ability to stay calm when everyone else is losing their heads. And you don't need to be a genius to do it. You need a few simple principles decided on in advance, before the storm hits. Grab a pen. Principle 1, and it's the foundation of everything. Understand that crashes are normal, not the end of the world. This is not the first crash, and it will not be the last. History is a long series of drops and recoveries, and through all of them, the long-term trend for broad, diversified investing has been upward over time. When you truly internalize that a crash is a temporary storm and not the permanent end, the terror loses most of its grip. Panic feeds on the belief that this time it's different and it will never recover. Refuse that belief. Principle 2. Decide your plan when you are calm, and follow it when you are afraid. The worst possible time to make a major financial decision is in the middle of a panic, with your heart pounding. So make your decisions now, in the calm, and write them down. Decide in advance how your money is arranged and that you will not sell in a panic. Then, when the storm comes, you don't have to make a scary decision. You just have to follow the calm plan your wiser, unpanicked self already made. You take the terrified, in-the-moment version of you out of the driver's seat entirely. Principle 3, and this is the practical shield. Don't invest money you'll need soon in things that can crash. This is where it all comes together with everything I've taught you. The reason crashes are survivable is that you can wait for the recovery, but only if you don't need that money right now. Money you'll need in the next year or two shouldn't be anywhere it can suddenly drop. And money you won't touch for many years can afford to ride out any storm, because you have the one thing that defeats a crash completely: time. Match your money to its timeline, and a crash becomes something you can calmly wait out instead of something that forces your hand. And Principle 4, the mindset that protects you from the vultures. In a crash, be extremely suspicious of anyone selling you a solution. When the fear is at its peak, that is precisely when the sharks come out, offering expensive products to protect you. Remember our 4 magic words from before. How are you paid? A frightened moment is exactly when you're most likely to get talked into something costly and permanent. So make yourself a promise now. You will not buy any complicated financial product in the middle of a panic. The calm, boring options will still be there when the storm passes and your head is clear. Now let me be completely fair, because I always will be. Fear is not stupid, and it's not shameful. It's human. That instinct kept our ancestors alive, and feeling it during a crash doesn't make you weak. It makes you normal. This was never about pretending to be fearless. It's about knowing in advance that the fear will come, that it will lie to you, and that it will beg you to do the one thing that turns a temporary dip into a permanent loss. The goal isn't to never feel the panic. It's to feel it, recognize it for the trap it is, and keep your hands still anyway. Because here's the truth the whole frightened circus hopes you'll forget in the moment. The crash itself has rarely been what ruins people. It's the panic. It's the selling. It's the running. The market has always been a device for transferring money from the fearful and impatient to the calm and patient. And the person who understands the market crash trap is the person who, when the headlines turn red and everyone else is running for the exits, simply takes a breath, remembers the plan, and refuses to be robbed by their own fear. If this gave you a little more steadiness for the next time the headlines turn scary, and they will, send it to someone you care about who might panic when that day comes. A calm word in advance could save them a fortune. And stick around, because next time, I'm detecting another trap they're praying you'll never spot.